What up, my friends, and welcome back to season number 2 of NFC BEAST. This is the show in which we take you inside the locker room of your favorite NFC squad, and we have 4 of the top insiders anywhere in the industry, but especially right here again in the NFC East. We're going to begin in New York. My main man, Lou Albanese, is back in the building. Also in Dallas, we've got Mike Ducey.
Back.
And new to the show in Philly, Tom Shredencheck in the building. We'll go by Shred as well. Welcome to the show, Shred, as you are now in NFC Beast as well.
Do I get the first word since we're not only NFC East champions, but Super Bowl champions?
You know what, Tom? You do not get the first word. We're going to kick this one out going around the NFC East. And per usual, we're beginning this conversation in Dallas. So, Mike Ducey, we know that the story all summer long has been this Micah Parsons contract situation, holding out, holding in, laying on tables at preseason games. What's going down with Micah Parsons?
What's going down is seemingly something new every day. The latest, as we speak, is that Parsons was spotted at DFW Airport, supposedly heading out of town for a second opinion on his back. You know, his back has really been tight during this contract hold-in. He wants an extension, hasn't been able to get it done with Jerry yet. Back and forth they go. I think it will get done. I'll hold to that, but Jerry has gotten a summer's worth of publicity out of this, and I think that was probably the goal all along.
Tom, we'll come to you now. As Mike said right there, bro, the thing with the Dallas Cowboys is they are always in the news. You all might be Super Bowl champions, but Dallas is the ones that always get the clicks here. Who has the leverage in this? Is it Jerry or is it indeed young Micah?
Oh, it's Jerry. There's no question it's Jerry, and he's been through this before, Mike. And, you know, and Chad, he's lived through this before, and he's won before. He still has the leverage in this situation. This is Jerry's team worth $12.8 billion. He's not going away. Micah Parsons has got to suit up. And you know what? Doesn't it strike you guys that Dak Prescott signed right before the season started in Cleveland last year? Wouldn't it be Jerry's M.O. right before that season opener in Philadelphia when the Eagles raise a banner to him like Thursday morning or Wednesday night, say, time to sign Micah Parsons?
Lou, you hear all of the news here. Micah still all over the map here. We got Tom saying that Jerry has the leverage here. What say you?
I say that Jerry Jones would rather go into contract negotiations than actually win a Super Bowl. I mean, he loves this stuff. He loves it. He lives for it. Mike would know better than I do, but he lives for this.
Mike, I think that that's a great point, right? Because that is the conversation that is around this team. It is with all of the value that the Dallas Cowboys have. Is Jerry, even as he gets up there in age, is Jerry more satisfied with owning the headlines than he is potentially owning another Lombardi?
Do I think he's as all consumed by the thought of winning a Super Bowl as he used to be? No. I don't think it means as much to him as it used to, because I think he has accomplished some other things, to be fair, in terms of building the most valuable sports franchise in the world. But it says it all that the thing we've been talking about here for the last few weeks has had nothing to do with the current team. It's had everything to do with the glory years of the 90s and how that whole thing fell apart, as the Netflix documentary has chronicled. So that's pretty typical of the way things have worked. When this team last won a Super Bowl, I had dark hair, guys. That's how long ago it was, and a little less of this, you know.
Right.
So it's been a long time. Jerry's loves living in the past, and he's been able to sell that past for a long, long time, and continues to.
Well, from one star player still out to one star player who returns to the practice field on Wednesday. That, of course, brings us right here to Washington, D.C. Terry McLaurin, the Commanders' star wide receiver, had been in a hold-in, hold-out situation throughout the summer as well. Reportedly signed a 3-year, $87 million deal, $30 million signing bonus, a little over $40 million guaranteed. I got to tell you all of the people who bleed burgundy and gold are thrilled about this. Terry's teammates love him to pieces. They're excited to have him back out there being Jaden Daniels' #1 option. But Tom, if the numbers are correct and Terry signed for $3 and $87, who got the better of this deal?
I think the Washington Commanders football team got the better end of this deal because there's no way a team that won 12 games a year ago and has Super Bowl aspirations could let this fester and drag into the season. This team's whole offseason has been Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl. There's no way you're going to a Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl without Terry McLaurin. So in this situation, maybe overpaid, maybe Josh Harris opened the pocketbook a little more than he should have, but there's no way the Commanders were going into this season without Scary Terry inked and on the roster.
Lou, I got to tell you what, bro. As late as this final preseason game, McLaurin was on the sidelines. He did not look very happy. He did not look like he was satisfied with this situation. I was watching that and say, if this goes into week 1, it's going to be problems when they face the New York Giants. How's the New York market feeling about Terry being on the field week 1?
Well, obviously, they would have been better off if he wasn't. But let's be fair. Terry is a guy who Jaden Daniels, you ask who is happiest? Forget about the Commanders. Jaden Daniels is happy. The fans are happy. The team needs him, and he needs him. That's an offense ready to explode. But without him, it goes right down the toilet because Samuel's not a breakaway guy. Now with those two combination and the young team around, improved offensive line, Washington might be the favorite to win this whole thing.
Woo, boy, the Commanders ready to raise hell, Mike. What say you? You all know a lot about wide receivers.
Don't give me that face shredding check.
In terms of Dallas reaction, everybody is comparing the McLaurin signing and the contract agreement to what's going on with Micah, and obviously the frustration around here over the fact that Parsons still hasn't agreed to that extension. And let me tell you, if I had to gauge it, I'd say it's 85-15 in favor of Micah with the fan base right now. But, who benefits most from McLaurin signing with Washington? Obviously, I think the Washington franchise had to get that done because it's going to be easy to regress just a little bit after exceeding expectations the way they did last year. They absolutely had to get this thing done before week 1 to have any hopes of getting where they want to go.
Terry McLaurin was reportedly looking for money that was similar to the deal that DK Metcalf signed, in which he had $60 million guaranteed, an average of around $33 million per year. Didn't quite get there, but again, everyone here in Washington happy with the way that that this has worked out. McLaurin back on the field. Lou, I'm coming to you in New York because I don't know that we said this very often all last season, but it looks like the Giants might have gotten one right or two right when you look at their 2 first-round draft picks in terms of Abdul Carter as well as Jackson Dart. What's the word, bro?
I agree. I love those 2 kids. I mean, Carter is a terror. They need him. Dart looks like a guy who should be on the field, not right away, because I'm not one of those guys who believes the first day, but this whole talk about Russell Wilson, stop. We've seen Russell Wilson's act in Seattle. We saw his act in Denver. Pittsburgh, he goes to the playoffs. Guess what? They get rid of him. He lost his last 5 games of the year. Dart is ready to play midseason. Play him, especially if they're in a losing thing. Especially if they find themselves 2-5, 2-7.
I think that's a perfect segue because this is Russell Wilson attempting to hold on to this job. Shred, how long before you put Jackson Dart in since the Giants and everyone else is chasing your birds?
Look, Chad, the New York Giants, I hate to break it to Lou, the New York Giants are not winning the NFC East. This just in to the NFC BEAST.
Look,
and the
I'm not sure
Cowboys
they
are
win a
not going to
game.
win the NFC East this year either. But if you are going to not win the division and you really want to develop this kid, you got to sit him for the year. You've got to let him sit and learn. Maybe in the last 2-3 games play him, but for the most part, guys, he's going to learn from Russell Wilson and even Jameis Winston in those in the meeting rooms after practices. Don't rush the kid. If he's your future, 2026 will be there for him.
Mike, I agree with what Tom just said. There are people who have said that the key to saving the Giants' upper brass job is getting Jackson Dart out there early. I say if Jackson Dart is playing early, it's going to be the end of the season down there in New York. What say you?
Yeah, you talk about learning from Russell Wilson. That might be a little bit of a dangerous prospect in some ways. But, I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is here. In my opinion, I would tend to agree with Shredder as well, that you wait it out with the kid and don't get him out there too early and have him damaged, mentally, emotionally, or maybe even, heaven forbid, physically. So I think the longer you can afford to wait, the better. But the temptation is going to be to get him out there, because this thing's probably not going to go well early on with Wilson, and it's going to get really loud there in New York. Imagine that, loud in New York. But the call will be for Dart to get out there earlier, I'm sure. I'd wait a while.
We'll get Lou's word on this later on, but I think that the Giants are going to be sneaky good this year. Now, not good like 9-10 wins, but maybe 6 or 7. But we'll get that a little bit later on. I want to come to you right now, Shred, because the Philadelphia Eagles had a relatively quiet offseason. That's not great news for the rest of these fan bases. One point that did make national news all summer long was this rivalry between Gilly the Kid and Cam Newton. Overall, judging the legacy of Jalen Hurts. Is Jalen Hurts, given the credit that he deserves, overrated, underrated?
Do you think, for 1 second, on the Beast right now, panelists, do you think Jalen Hurts gives a rat's backside what Cam or Gilly or anybody else thinks of him? The guy's got a $50 million contract, he's got a Lombardi trophy, and he's got a Super Bowl MVP award. If anything, guys, all this talk and chatter is only been fuel for this guy. You're right what you said, Chad. Quiet off season, just the way Nick Sirianni wanted it. No words repeat. The Eagles have not used defending champion. It has been a good, healthy training camp. And if anything, it's only fuel for Jalen Hurts right now, who could give two bleeps what people on the outside think of him or where he's rated among the top quarterbacks in the NFL.
Well, that's Tom really bringing the temperature down in the room, Lou. I need you to turn it up, though. I think that Cam was right. As great as I think that Jalen Hurts is, and I believe that he is one of the best leaders and best winners in the National Football League, I don't believe that Jalen Hurts is a top 10 quarterback.
Jalen Hurts could be the most disrespected player in the NFL, period. What does this kid have to do? He wins divisions. He wins Super Bowls. He won in college, and everyone hates him. His own players say these things. Can we stop? Stop. Jalen Hurts, it may not be a top 10 numbers quarterback, but he's a top 10 winning quarterback. And I'll take the winner over the numbers. Hey, I'll tell you what. I'll take Jalen Hurts. You have Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson, and we'll see who wins.
Mike. If you're drafting fantasy or you are drafting, you're the general manager, you're taking Dak or Jalen?
Maybe Dak's numbers are going to be a little better if he can stay healthy all year. But let's go back again to the glory years around here, back when I had dark hair and all that. There was a quarterback whose numbers were never that great. His touchdown numbers were never that great. But he was incredibly efficient, and he won 3 Super Bowls, and now he's in the Hall of Fame. You talk about Hurts being, a winner, but not necessarily a top 10 quarterback. That doesn't compute to me. If you've won the Super Bowl and you have a decent, skill set, as obviously he does, more than decent, to me that puts you in the top 10. So I think Hurts belongs there.
All right, Jalen Hurts won a Super Bowl, made his way to another Super Bowl, arguably outplayed Patrick Mahomes in both of them. If all 3 of you are going on that side, I'll come over there with you. We're going to take a quick break right here on NFC Beast. When we come back, we're going to take a look at what could lead your team astray and lead ultimately to a losing season. That's next on The Beast. And welcome back to NFC Beast. We've now got you caught up on everything that's gone down with your squad during the offseason. Now, everybody is a Super Bowl contender in September. We're now going to go to our insiders and have them tell you what could lead your team to fall off before they even get started. Mike, we'll start with you in Dallas. What could be the Cowboys' downfall?
Well, the obvious one could be another injury to Dak Prescott. When he's been healthy in the last, half dozen years, he's been really good, but he hasn't been able to stay on the field. Missed roughly half the season last year. We know what happened with the Cowboys, 7 wins, and McCarthy gone and Schottenheimer in now. Other than that, I think both sides of the line are worth looking at as potential problems. That's a blanket statement that doesn't bode well for the Cowboys. I think they could have trouble running the football, not just because they don't have a designated featured running back right now, but because of questions along the offensive line. Zach Martin, for example, gone. Guyton, the left tackle, who had a rough rookie year, injured now in training camp. I think they'll have trouble running it potentially, and they might have trouble stopping the run too. I think those are potential Achilles heels for this football team as the Cowboys look to try to improve from that disaster of a season a year ago.
Lou, the New York Giants know a lot about disasters, also know a lot about finishing last in the NFC East. It's kind of been you all's home lately. What could set you all on that familiar path?
Taking the field on opening day. No, I'll tell you right now. The offensive line, no Andrew Thomas. We're not sure if he's going to play. Without Andrew Thomas, it's garbage. All right. As great as Neighbors is and the numbers he put up last year, he should already be in the Hall of Fame with that quarterback group. Still, I think they're not deep enough with the receiver. Their running game is so-so, and I am not sold on Russell Wilson. And by the way, teaching Dart, the only thing Russell Wilson can teach Dart is how to marry a superstar, a super singer. That's it. So let's be real here.
Yeah.
All right? So the offensive end of the ball could be a problem. Their defense, that defensive line might be the best in the NFL, but just like what happened last year, they get worn down. The offense has to improve, and I have doubts.
All right. Since we are playing you all in week one right here in Northwest Stadium, I'm going to take this one. For the Washington Commanders, you look at 12 victories, making it all the way to the NFC East NFC Championship game last year, probably a year ahead of schedule. I believe that this year, with all of the expectations, the downfall could potentially be this late arrival of a Terry McLaurin. We know that oftentimes when you don't get that full offseason of training, it can lead to some soft tissue issues. If Terry McLaurin catches a hamstring and is not right for some 3 to 4 weeks, Noah Brown, we know that he is oft-times injured. He's the other outside wide receiver, and Deebo Samuel is not much, if not someone who is an injury waiting to happen. I believe that although the weapons are better, it is the health of the weapons. If they don't stay there, that could be what derails the Washington Commanders. That's us right here. Shred, what do you got?
You know, I've known Lou for 35 years, and for the first time in 35 years, I agree with him on something. So let the record show here that I agree with him, that I think the Giants' defense could be really, really, really special. Ironically, that's where I think the Eagles have their biggest concerns. Offensively, 10 of the 11 starters who played in the Super Bowl are back. They lost their right guard, Micah, back into free agency. On the opposite side of the ball, Brandon Graham retired. Fletcher Cox retired. The Eagles traded away C.J. Gardner-Johnson, their safety. Darius Slay is now in Pittsburgh. Isaiah Rodgers is now with Minnesota. The Eagles are trying to patch things together a little bit in that secondary opposite Quinyon Mitchell. They really, through camp, did not define that second cornerback spot. And one of Lou's former guys, Adoree Jackson, believe it or not, is in line to be a starter next Thursday when the Eagles face the Cowboys. So they're moving Cooper DeJean into safety a little bit more. There are some issues on defense that still really didn't resolve themselves this camp. But then again, a year ago at this time, we were concerned about Vic Fangio taking over a patchwork defense. Right. And the Eagles had the #1 defense in the NFL last year. So I think Vic gets the credit here a little bit. I think the Eagles will be fine. But if there's an area to watch, it is the Eagles secondary.
Ooh, boy. And I tell you what, everybody else, all the other fan bases around the NFC East are hoping that we have finally found an issue in Philadelphia. We'll see about that. All right, guys, coming up, we are going to take a look and do some way too early schedule predictions, as well as predict who will finish least in the NFC East. Keep it locked right here. It's the Beast. NFC Beast. We are breaking down your squads in the NFC East as the regular season is just over a week away right now. All right, guys, we're going to get into our way too early season predictions. Where will your fans' team finish and who will finish last? Lou, I'm going to come to you first because, again, the Giants have had a familiar spot, at least for right around the last decade here. What do you think about this team this year and who finishes last?
So you're saying last is first as I was starting this segment?
There we go.
All right. I think they will be a little bit better than a year ago. I do love their defensive line. Wilson's an upgrade over whoever they threw out there. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Tommy DeVito and Daniel Jones and whoever else they threw out there was garbage last year. So that's an upgrade. I think Neighbors to Wilson will have a good combination. I'm still not sold in the running game, so I'll say 6 wins. How's that? 7 wins. Let's go 7. 7 wins.
7 wins. I believe the
I can't
over-under
do
was.
math, I don't know what the loss would be.
I believe the over-under was 5.5, so that's you going over the expectations. So who finishes last in the NFC East, Lou?
I think there's a good chance if they don't get Micah Parsons in there, the Giants and the Cowboys could be battling this, especially if that gets hurt. I think Giants have a shot against the Cowboys.
All right. I actually happen to agree with that. Again, I think the Giants are going to be better.
I think they both stink.
Yeah. In Dallas, again, if injuries don't go right. So, Mike, you're down there. What do you say?
Again, I'm going to go on the assumption that Prescott stays largely healthy and that Micah Parsons plays the entire year. And I'm going to find 9 wins for the Cowboys and not feel terribly confident about it. But just glancing at the schedule, they need to, and you never know from year to year who's going to be good really in the NFL, right? But just glancing at this schedule, they better load up early on because you better win a game like at the Bears, at the Jets, at the Panthers. Better beat the Cardinals at home and win at the Raiders because there's a stretch right around Thanksgiving there where they get Eagles, Chiefs, Lions, Vikings, Chargers, Commanders all in a row. So if they don't perform well fairly early in the season, it could be a long season. But I'll say 9 wins for Dallas.
Tom, 9 wins for Dallas. Over under, you say?
Pretty darn close to it. I would say maybe leaning towards 7, and my bromance continues with Lou. I think the Giants are a little bit better than the Cowboys at this point in time. I think their defense can be special. I think the Cowboys might be in for another 7-10 season, and I think the Giants are right around that number. Don't be surprised to see the Giants finish 3rd in the East.
I wouldn't be surprised by that either. I am going to take a little bit over on all of the teams in the division. I think that we could see a situation in which we've got 2 teams that finish at 10 wins or above and another right around that 9-win range. I think that the NFC East is going to be one of the better divisions in all of football this season. Looking at the Washington Commanders, again, you look at 12 victories last year. Here in D.C., it's the thought of Super Bowl or bust. I don't think that this team is going to reach back to that 12-win stretch. The schedule is brutal. Beyond that, you look at 5 different primetime games that they're going to play. There's going to be a lot of short weeks, a lot of different scheduled weeks that the team is going to need to deal with. I believe the Commanders finish at 10-7 and or 9-8. Doesn't mean that they won't make a run in the playoffs, but I think that schedule is brutal, and I think that Dallas, as the rest of you said as well, I think that they finished last in the East. I think the Giants are better than Dallas this year. I even think they might beat the Commanders 1 game this year, and Tom, they're going to hope to knock you all off 1 time or so as well.
Well, let's put it this way. The Eagles won 14 games last year, and this year everybody will have that bullseye on because it's going to be Eagles week, and it's always going to be special when you play them. I don't think they're going to win 14 games again. I don't think Saquon Barkley rushes for 2,000 yards again. That being said, I think the Eagles will get 1,300 yards out of Saquon. They still are a 13-win football team. And the thing I love about this team right now is the culture that Nick Sirianni permeates throughout the building. The Eagles, by a game over the Commanders, not saying Super Bowl champions. We have not had a repeat champion in the East since 2004. That streak ends this year. Eagles win the East by a game.
Even with the defense, Shred, you say even with that questionable defense, 13 dubs?
It was questionable at this point last year, wasn't it? And they held Patrick Mahomes to 22 points in the Super Bowl. It's good enough.
Lou, with all of the talk of Dallas potentially being down the Micah Parsons situation, again, with Washington, you've got Terry McLaurin just getting back. I don't think this offense is going to be hitting on all cylinders come week 1. There's a chance, Lou. There's a chance that the Giants could start 2-0. Would that change your expectations?
Well, if they start 2-0, I mean, look, the Giants have talk about brutal schedules. They have a brutal schedule. But if they start 2-0, then things start to change. They get the confidence in guys. Russell Wilson settles in. And it's possible, but if they start 0-2, then it's a whole different thing. I say 1-1. I say they lose to Washington, they beat Dallas, and it's been a long time since they beat Dallas, so that'll be a nice stretch.
That would be a huge W if they are able to do that. Ducey, can it happen?
I just can't believe all these Eastern snobs are ganging up on the Cowboys like this. I really can't. I don't know.
Just slobs.
I forgot
Doesn't
what
matter
the
if we're
question
east
is.
or the west. We're still slobs.
Snob. I didn't say slobs. I said snobs.
There we go.
There's a difference. But no, I
we
don't
are
even know what
slobs
the
and
question
snobs.
is at this point, to be honest. But I think the Giants probably finish last again in the division. I think Philly wins the division again and defies the historical odds, as Shredder said. 21 years since the team has been able to repeat. I see it playing out much the way it did last year, with maybe Dallas being a little better, but Philly and Washington fighting it out for the championship.
Mike, before we get out of here, we got about 50 seconds remaining. How long do you, again, you are on the ground, so to your fan base, how long do you personally believe this Micah Parsons situation carries on?
Well, I've been wrong all along. I thought it would be done by now. To be honest, I'm looking at the date here. I think it is possible that it goes up until next week and leading right up to that Philly game, because I think it was Shredder who mentioned it, and it's been discussed around here too. Jerry would love nothing better than to take some of that luster off that opening night magic for the Super Bowl champion Eagles. So maybe again he waits until the very last minute to get it done. I do think it gets done, though, before that opening kickoff on Thursday night in Philadelphia.
All right, we have taken you around the NFC East. We'll be back next week, NFC BEAST.